Hey, rivalry win. Woo. Michigan wins 73-65 at the Chrysler Center. This was a game filled with a 16-0 Ohio State second half run. They took a 4-point lead after trailing by 9 at the half. Doug McDaniel was academically eligible for this game as it took place in Ann Arbor. The Fab Five was there. That was fun. Jalen Rose and Chris Webber Instagrammed from a liquor store before the game. And then Jalen Rose got a 15-minute interview in the middle of the game in which him and Gus Johnson talked about how many NBA teams want Juwan Howard right now. So this one had all the fun. Cart, I had a blast. What did you see in this game?
Did you have a blast, Gregory?
No.
Okay, just check. I mean, your little point guard that could made his return.
All right. Can I talk about that off the top? Can I talk about it?
Yeah. Yes.
You know me better than anyone other than my wife knows me, Cart. Okay?
Mhm.
I love him. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever loved something and then all of a sudden you realize you probably shouldn't love that thing anymore? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, once a month.
I'm like really, I'd like to tap into that a little more after this. I'm really struggling right now with Doug because what am I supposed to do? What are Michigan fans supposed to do? When Doug McDaniel's 0-4 from the floor, 0-4 from the floor, 0 for 4 from the floor, nice. And he's missed everything, and he has like a trillion through 10 minutes of this game at home, right? What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to cheer when he hits his first step back three? To go 1 for 5 when he hasn't played defense on one possession, knowing he's going to miss the next 5 road games because he's lazy? Am I supposed to cheer? This program has taken the one thing that was fun about this program and made it inherently awful. I don't know what to do as a fan.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like it's a no-win situation in my eyes, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But it's like let's say Doug plays amazing. Let's say we fired up a Chug McDaniel after this episode, and we're like, he had 25, 10, 7, like a Madison Square Garden level performance. You'd be saying to yourself, I'm pissed because if this dude could have went to class, I could get this on a normal basis. If he plays bad, then you're like, well, what's it even matter? He's just hurting the team by playing bad, by only playing the home games and the suspension. It's a no-win situation. It's still a situation I truly don't understand. I know it's been a while since the decision has been made, but I still found myself like just looking at it like I can't believe this guy's playing like home games but suspended for away games. It still just makes no sense to me. But I don't know. If I was giving you my advice as a friend, as a compadre, a brethren, I would say just enjoy the win. Like a win's got to feel good. At least you did not collapse and lose this game in the second half like you've been doing. Like, doesn't a win just feel good? A nice little home noon win game in Chrysler in front of 7 people, including the Fab Five.
I don't know, man. I think something's wrong with me. Because no, it doesn't really feel good. I wish it felt good. I like beating Ohio State in basketball. I found myself during this game thinking back to the good wins against Ohio State basketball, and I yearned for those days for both teams in this. There used to be a time, Cart, in the good old days. I sound like a Michigan football fan before this year, where there was Aaron Kraft and Will Buford and David Lighty and Jared Sullinger and Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway, Nick Stauskas. Those games were fun. And now in this game, I got Roddy Gale doing nothing for 40 minutes, and Terrence Williams is unstoppable. Terrence Williams and Olivier Kahn were the best. I give those guys credit. I want to talk about those guys, but it just makes me sad to step back broadly. It makes me sad for Ohio State that they couldn't win this game, given where Michigan's at and the 16-0 run that Michigan gave up. And it makes me sad for myself that I have to celebrate this like this is the peak of my season.
Yeah, I mean, we used to be a proper country in the Big Ten as a whole. We truly did used to. Uh, but David Lighty and John Diebler did not die for Evan Mahaffey to play 30 minutes a game. I'm sorry. That's a whole nother situation we're probably going to get into after this. But look, I do want to focus on the positives for Michigan. We talked about it, and we've given him his flowers many a times. Time to do it once again. Terrence Williams' ability to play really good basketball this year, despite all the other stuff he's had to go through, despite being like one of the guys who's been here for a long time. He's been on some good Michigan teams. He's been the scapegoat for bad Michigan teams. Well, not necessarily scapegoat, because honestly, he didn't like play all that well. There's definitely a correlation between his play and some of the things that lacked next to like those Hunter Dickinson teams. But he's just like come out this season and he fixed his jumper. You pointed that out in early in the season, like even during the Marquette scrimmage that was indoors. Still need to see that footage, I'll be honest with you. But he's just been a unreal contributor for this team. He's making big time threes down the stretch. He's making threes just in general. It was truly a unreal game from him on both ends of the floor. I thought he was great. And then Olivier Nkamhoua, I think he was like 9 for 21 from the field, but like really timely baskets, controlled the glass. In a game where I didn't think anybody else in the front court necessarily played well. Terrace Reed was a disaster in my opinion. And Doug had his moments, picked it up, but he didn't play lights out or anything like that. So, you know, I do want to give credit to those guys for stepping up in this situation and not crumbling completely, because I think it's very easy when you're on the wrong side of a 16-0 run after the season you had, just to shut shop basically, and be like, God, this is just annoying. Like, this is just the story of our season. So I do give them credit for stepping up and securing the win.
Yeah, since Big Ten play started, Terrence Williams is shooting 50% from three. He's 25 for 50 from three in the last
Crazy.
8 games. And that includes a couple non-con games mixed in there. That's actually the last 9 games, because Eastern Michigan, Florida, and McNeese are in there. But like, you just go through the game logs, man. It's wild. In his last 8 games, he was 5 for 5 from three against Ohio State. He hit 3 threes in 7 attempts against Penn State, 4 threes in 8 attempts against McNeese, 3 for 5 against Florida, 3 for 6 against Iowa. Like, this guy is just one of the best shooters in the country on a team that like has no business getting him good looks even. Like, he's been doing this without Doug a little bit, like with Doug playing disastrously. And I don't know. It's just really, really impressive to me. I'm really proud of him. I'm really happy for him. And it sucks that it's kind of going to just get swept away in where this Michigan season goes, because it's one of the better redemption arcs from an individual player that I can recall in my career as a Michigan fan. The other guy, I like, as good as Terrence Williams was in this game, the guy who was the best player on the floor tonight was Olivier Nkamhoua. Stellar star level performance from Nkamhoua, I thought. 20 points. He had 6 rebounds. He had 4 assists in this game. Most importantly, he has been operating as if he is the primary option on this team ever since the Doug nonsense started. And I'm not saying that's been a good thing for Michigan. I'm not saying that's led them to win games or necessarily led to great performances from Kamala until today. But it was noticeable to me that, like, in a game with Doug McDaniel on the floor, Kamala was the alpha. He was the engine. He was the focal point. They were playing through him. He was more aggressive than he's been at any point this season. And ultimately, like, look, if Kamala has a 6-month career as a Michigan Wolverine and that's it in a forgettable season, Conwood did just have a Michigan moment where he secured them a rival victory at home, right? Like, we talk about, all rivalry games always come down to a legacy performance. To me, that was the Terrence Williams legacy performance for sure. And maybe on a smaller level, just because he has a smaller Michigan legacy, but that's a Conwood legacy game. Like, in the footnotes of Olivier Conwood's college career, oh yeah, he beat Ohio State when Michigan was really stinky because he was the best player on the floor.
Yeah. And I try to like give in common like, yeah, it's great. It's great what he's doing. But there's just like some little voice in the back of my head that like I think it still sucks that Olivier Nkamhoua was not playing like on a top 10 team, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just think like I think he'd be like I picture him. Pick any team, pick any of like the top 10 teams. I just think he'd be like a really, really good piece. Shit. Honestly, I think Tennessee misses him a little bit right now, to be honest with you. I think they could use him.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. The Tennessee departure with him is just weird because like I don't think Tennessee misses him at all. But
Really? Wouldn't you rather have an Olivia Nkama than like Josiah Jordan James?
on paper, yeah, I don't think Tennessee fans would say that. Um,
Okay, yeah.
but I don't know. It's just one of the weirder things because it feels like it was a win-win move for both sides, but it doesn't make sense because Kamala could have just been this player on a much better program and team, and he never got there for some reason. So, yeah, I don't know. The only thing that warms my heart for him when I think of it the way you said is his other the route he would have gone if he was going to transfer was going to be West Virginia, which is arguably an even bigger dumpster fire than Michigan right now.
Yeah, true. Wait, it
So
wasn't gonna be Baylor, was it?
Baylor was in the mix. From what I heard, West Virginia was the one that he had like the money on the table from. So
Okay. Yeah, true.
um,
All right, true. Then he somehow he came up on top, even at Michigan.
if we could put him on Baylor, would really like Baylor.
Baylor might be my national champ.
Would really like Baylor. Ohio State side of this, you said something to me before we clicked record. Do you want to say it now that we have clicked record?
I do. Because for some reason I have been donned like the residential Buckeye in this space. Don't know really how it happened. It's okay. If someone needs to step up, I'll be that guy. And I I'll start by saying this. I love Chris Holtman. I do. I truly do. But no one is above criticism and no one is above like it might be time for a tough conversation. It really might be time for a tough conversation about Chris Holtman and his future with Ohio State. And I say that because it seems like a broken record at this point that his teams have talent and it always is a player's fault. It always is like this player is not doing it, this player is not doing it. And I just think at this point it's becoming too repetitive. And it's like, okay, why is maybe the coach and the coaching staff not getting the best out of these players? Because to me, I do put blame on guys like Roddy Gale and Bruce Thornton for not being consistent as I think they should be. But I think some of that falls on coaching as well. And I think as an Ohio State basketball fan, I don't know how people aren't saying to themselves, like, I'm sick of seeing this same story. And I feel like it's been a repetitive thing the past couple of years. And the one year that it wasn't, they are a number 2 seed and they lose to a 15 seed in the tournament. So it's like, well, what's really going on here?
Yeah, I struggle with this because I, in my heart of hearts, believe that Chris Holtman is a good basketball coach.
I do too,
He
for the record.
from DK, our Spartan Hoops DK, he tweeted out something in the middle of this game that was like, "This is a classic Holtman slide." And if you just screenshot his Januaries as Ohio State's head coach, there were like 2 good years where he was good the whole season. He's had 4 different Januaries now where they just fall off a cliff and they go like 1-6 in January. That's happened like repeatedly.
Mm.
January is when the conference season starts. So like this is not a huge surprise to see them suddenly struggling. If you look at their resume over the course of the season, they had a great neutral win over Alabama. They've done nothing at all other than that at all. They have barely beaten any top 100 teams. Their only other top 100 wins are Minnesota at home and Rutgers at home. Rutgers was a 4-point win. Minnesota was 10. Like those, you have to win those games. Otherwise, it would be like really sound the alarm. Other than that, they've lost every big opportunity they have, including now road games at Penn State, Indiana, and Michigan. 3 teams that probably aren't going to make the NCAA tournament. You went 0-3 there. I get it's hard to win on the road, but the Wisconsin game was bad. They couldn't hit shots. This is now consecutive games they couldn't hit shots. And I think you're right. Like, it feels like the program is plateauing, which is not good because it's not in a good spot already. So to feel like there's no upward trajectory after, and that sounds crazy because last year was so bad they've already taken a step forward, but it feels like there's a huge cap on where this team can go, which sucks. Now, with that said, I do want to blame the players. Can I blame the players?
Please do.
What is Holtman supposed to do when his guys go 3 for 25 from 3 on wide open looks?
True. Yeah. I
Michigan,
mean,
Michigan leaves guys wide open. Like,
yeah, and all right, I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. Typically, like when there aren't assist numbers, you're thinking like, oh, this team isn't running good stuff, or this team's roster construction maybe isn't that great. And that might be the case. But I will chime in and putting it on the players in this case. The selfishness of this Ohio State basketball team is evident when they hoop. Like I think Dale Bonner led this team in assists, and that really fits kind of the narrative. Like Dale Bonner's a transfer from Baylor who probably just wants to, play the right way and share the basketball. No one else on this basketball team wants to share the ball. Everyone just wants to go one-on-one. Bruce Thornton is allergic to passing the basketball. It's bad. It's bad. It's tough to watch.
yeah, 6 assists as a team this game. Now,
That's
again,
crazy.
Michigan's defense is horrendous, Cart. Like, I don't want to. Like, it's hard to praise Michigan's defense. I thought they played well, like they were inspired a little bit on that end, but it was a lot of just missed wide open shots. And I phrase it as this: I think Thornton and Gale have a lot of losing habits. I said the same thing about Sensabaugh last year. These 3 guys came in as a freshman class together, loaded talent freshman class. I mean, that's got to be one of the most talented freshman classes anyone has had. Like, seriously, find me a more talented recruiting class a Big Ten team has had in the last decade than Thornton, Gale, Sensabaugh, and Akpara. Like, is that not an insane recruiting class? And to have the
Yeah.
immediate season they had last year where they were so bad, followed by a year right now where they look like a middle of the pack Big Ten team is just kind of baffling. We've seen Gale and Thornton be really good at times this year. They both look disastrous right now. Almost all of Bruce Thornton's production in this game came in garbage time in like the final 5 minutes of the game. I don't know, just weird. But at the same time, if they shoot 6 for 25 from 3 in this game, they win. So
Can I throw out a random statement and that I have not put any thought process into whatsoever, and you can shut it down immediately when you feel like it, please.
Yep.
But I want to get it out there right now. And it might have to do with the fact that there's a Marquette game in the background right now. But is there some maybe true to like just Holtman just not maybe just like the Ohio State and the Big Ten just isn't for him? Like he's a good coach, and I hate saying that because the Big Ten is not that good of a conference. But I think he was successful at the stop before this, and he just hasn't really gotten over the hump, I guess, at Ohio State. Like even I don't know. Are there some Shaka Chris Holtman similarities? Maybe like coaching pass similarities?
maybe. I think Ohio
Or did
State.
Holtman not have enough? No, go ahead.
I think Ohio State's a tough place to be a great basketball coach at. I
Yeah.
think it's a place you can be a good basketball coach at. And Holtman is a good basketball coach, but I think like either you're like a Hall of Fame level guy who wins consistently here, or you're like okay and people don't get super fired up about it because they care about football and they notice your flaws. And I think that's where Holtman's at right now. You're right. I think he could use a change of scenery just for his sake, not necessarily
Yeah.
Ohio State's sake, but also if he does leave, can I push that he should go to Butler and Thad Matta should go back to Ohio State?
I kind of would like that, to be honest with you.
Just go back. We had it right the first time. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Get them back to their level. That'd be lovely. Okay. Any final thoughts on this? Michigan's 7-10 after this.
Let's see. I think that both of these teams are probably NIT teams.
I think Michigan's really far off the NIT right now.
Are they that far off?
You don't get to the NIT with like a 13-20 record.
I mean, they might win all the games with Doug at home. So.
Maybe. I don't know, man. Let's end with this. Should this Michigan team be this bad?
No.
They've led all 6 conference games at halftime.
Yeah, no, they should not be this bad. No.
Like do you know how absurd of a stat that is? My basketball team's 7-10, 2-4 in the conference. They've led every game at halftime in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
Like,
it makes no sense.
it's really frustrating. All right, well, am I allowed to do like the Cade McNamara thing?
Sure. I also just want to end this by saying it's still over for Jawan too, by the way.
What if we went out, huh? I mean, what? Think about what if we went out, huh?
What was their record when he said that?
Like, I think like 2-4.
Okay. All right.
Everything turned from there. Fab Five. Do we like that they were at this game? Do we care?
I personally don't care. I don't think anyone really cares.
I don't love the vibes of like the Fab Five came in to save Jawan's job. That's what I think it was today.
Is that what the vibe was?
I don't think like they haven't done this before. I
I
get it
thought
was
I
it was
thought I
MLK
thought
Day.
well, no, I thought it was basically like they they know they got to bury it and they got to show up to a game for Juwan because this is it for Juwan. So like, who has work? Who has MLK Day off? Okay, you guys do. All right, bet. Let's show up for Juwan. Let's see one last Juwan game before he goes.
I think the whole thing with like Gus Johnson calling this game, Jim Jackson, friend of Jawan, calling this game, them driving the narrative that the NBA wants him, them interviewing Jalen Rose about how good the Michigan program is in Jawan's hands for 10 minutes. Like, it was just kind of a slap in the face to Michigan fans the entire time. Um, and I get like they all like Jawan, so they're all going to paint it positively, but it was really frustrating to watch. Like a 16-0 run was literally happening. Doug McDaniel fired the ball into the third row as Jalen Rose is like praising Jawan Howard's program. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. I could do without that. And it is cool to see those guys, but like I could do without the like Jawan spoke after they put a microphone in front of him. He was like, it's just great. It's been a tough year, and it's great to have the support of people like you and people like my guys. Like, I'd rather have Jalen Rose sit on front of a microphone and be like, yeah, the Michigan program needs better. Like, if he cares about, do you
True.
care about the program or do you care about your guy? Because y'all didn't show up to the program for 20 years. So you haven't even shown up in Juwan's era until today. So I don't know. I enjoyed seeing those guys when John Beeline had them in the national championship game. I don't enjoy seeing those guys when we're 6-10 fighting to the brim against Ohio State at home on a Monday afternoon. I'm down bad, Carter. All right.
Well, good win.
Can we stop talking about this?
Yeah, we can.